Songutu Magasa has earned West Ham United a crucial point on the road at Old Trafford this evening. That was after Diogo Dalot gave Manchester United the lead after a rather lacklustre piece of defending from the Hammers. A bit of grit and a bit of fight was displayed by Nuno Espirito Santo's men, and it is well and truly a case of respecting the point for West Ham tonight. Welcome back to the channel. This is our instant match reaction. Manchester United 1, West Ham United 1. Put your thoughts in the live chat or comment section depending on when you are watching. And I am encouraged by what I saw, to be honest. It got to a point where 1-0 down, the game was sort of starting to slip away. And I think back to West Ham probably 12 months ago when we'd have probably slipped with it and slumped to another 1-0 defeat away at Old Trafford. But no, we carried on fighting, despite Nuno being rather hesitant to change things. He did eventually change things, and it did make an instant impact. I was getting increasingly frustrated all throughout the game that our corners were just pathetic. Bowen was going to take the corner, then Andy Irving comes on, takes corner duty off him. Bowen goes to the front post, flicks it on, and it's a remarkable clearance off the line, it must be said, from I think it was Mazraoui, to deny Bowen the goal. But then Magasa was perfectly placed to just slide it into a really narrow gap, actually. He won't get the credit he deserves for that, because he had a really short area in that corner to nestle it home, and he did just that. And a real outburst of passion from the midfielder who Gary Neville gave man of the match, who I thought was absolutely excellent tonight, and I thought he was really good on Sunday as well. A really good couple of games for Songutu Magasa, who was starting to establish himself quite nicely into that starting lineup. And overall, it wasn't perfect today. I was getting irritated because I felt like it was just the same story to Sunday, where again we were coming up against a big team, showing them a little bit too much respect. They were weak tonight, Man United. I thought they were very, very poor, as were Liverpool on Sunday. So we had a real strong sense of deja vu for the vast majority of that game, but we managed to, get that equaliser and claim a point at the end. A word on the fans before I go any further. Of course, the game was on Sky tonight, and they positioned their cameras, conveniently, but you could still hear that away contingent with Brighton away on Sunday. 3 games in 7 days with Christmas around the corner in December. I thought it was a magnificent showing from the West Ham fans. You could hear Billy Bonds' Claret and Blue Army repetitively through, especially that second half and the first half before the game as well. It's a long old trip to make on a Thursday night, especially when we've been very poor. So full credit to every single one of them West Ham fans who made the trip up there tonight, made the noise, and really did spur the team home to secure that point at the end. But yeah, it was a changeable game, wasn't it? It was there for the taking. That's what I was getting a little bit irritated at in the second half. When he took the lead, it was a defensive lapse of judgment. We did really well to sort of nullify any of their threat. The only real chances I can recollect Man United were having was that looping effort that Areola just tipped over the bar in the first half. And apart from that, there's not a lot else springing to mind. Of course, they dominated possession, but again, it's the case they didn't do a great deal with it. And that's when we had to be clinical going forward. We weren't quite getting the ball to Wilson, and it wasn't quite linking up right, and the ball started to come back. And the last sort of 10-15 minutes of the first half, and it carried on into the second half, a bit of momentum was developed from Manchester United, and it culminated in them taking the lead. And I found it staggering how we had about 5 defenders in the box, and there were 2 Man United players unmarked in space in the middle of the box, and Diogo Dalot was one of them, who had time to control it, take it down, and have the shot past Alphonse Areola. So probably at the time give Manchester United a deserved lead. They dominated it, and they were just beginning to turn the needle, but we stuck with them. And a lot of Man United were just trying to see that 1-0 score line out. Gary Neville said it on commentary, the subs Amorim made, and he seemed pretty settled with a 1-0. And we know better than anyone, at 1-0, the game is very much still in the balance, and we proved that tonight. And I was critical of Nuno before the game, and I was ready to come on and be even more critical when it was 1-0, because I was just a little bit frustrated at what he'd done, how he'd set us up, and how we looked pretty much out of ideas at one point with no attacking options on the bench. Then he goes to bring Irving and Conte on, and they're stood there for 2 or 3 minutes, and then he tells them to go and sit back down, and I'm like, what is going on? And then master stroke. See, that's why I'm sat here and Nuno's in that dugout, because then he delayed him for 2 or 3 minutes. Irving Kilman and made the instant impact with a good corner to get us back on level terms. Let's say some comments. Billy Bonds' Claret Blue Army, absolutely brilliant to hear that so consistently from the away contingent tonight. Take the point, great performance, good performance, a well-deserved point. Man United are not up to much nowadays, definitely not. I was underwhelmed. Midfield through was superb. They worked really well together. And do you know what? I said it on the build-up show just before the game. I said I'm really interested to see how that midfield three works together tonight, and I don't think I'm really putting my head above the parapet when I say it looked better without Paqueta in there. Those three looked much more cohesively understanding with each other. There was a lot more structure to our midfield, and I thought we were excellent and really gained at some points a stronghold in that midfield. Potts excellent, Magassa brilliant, and Souček did his job as expected as well. A word for Wan-Bissaka, who took the words out of my mouth. The amount of I know he picked up a yellow card, then he had a dodgy challenge afterwards, which he probably should have got a second yellow card for. But putting that to the side, Aaron Wan-Bissaka was absolutely excellent on his former ground tonight. The amount of challenges, I mean, it's just the cleanness and crispness of his tackles and the way he bends his leg around the ball and scoops the ball up and just makes clean tackles time after time after time. When he first moved to the club, I was like, he's not going to do this every time, and he pretty much does. He's got a real knack of being he's a fantastic interceptor and tackler and disruptor of the ball, and I thought he was very, very good tonight. So 100%, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Magassa, they were the two standouts for me. He was lucky to stay on at the end. Todibo looks a little bit more controlled and calm, doesn't he? I noticed it at Bournemouth a couple of weeks ago. I thought he was winning a lot more and looked a little bit more settled on the ball, and I think that's just carried on. So that is positive, because there was one point he was looking shaky under Potter, and he is looking a lot better. I mean, that was it. The Mbeumo dive, wasn't it? It was pathetic. Do you know what? They mentioned it on commentary before the game. I think it was that referee's fifth game in the Premier League. I thought it was excellent tonight. You know, we are very quick to criticise referees, but for his fifth Premier League game and his first game at Old Trafford, I think his name was Andrew Kitchen. I thought he was brilliant tonight. He let the game go. All right, he should have booked a couple of players for diving, absolutely. But apart from that, he let the game flow. He didn't give he didn't give cheap fouls away, and I thought he was very, very good, and he complemented the game really well. So we're all quick to criticise referees, but we should all heap some praise tonight, because I thought he played a part in what ended up being not a brilliant game, but he helped it in that sense. Todibo does look much better. Absolutely. It was solid for sure, Sharky. Absolutely. So, yeah, look, I mean, I'm making the trip down to Brighton on Sunday, and they said Bournemouth then. And I've got a bit of encouragement, because I was sitting there at 1-0 thinking the last two games, if you just said to me at the start of the season we'd have lost to Liverpool at home and Man United away, I wouldn't have been too fussed. But the manner of the teams we're coming up against, which is so unprecedented, I would have now been very, very frustrated. And of course, I'm still frustrated at Sunday, because that was a massive missed opportunity. But again, at 1-0 tonight, I had the same thoughts. This is a missed opportunity. We seized the opportunity. We got the point. And in the end, probably fair. All right, they edged it. I think it's fair to say they had a couple more chances. They had a lot more possession, didn't do a lot with it. But I think we're probably value for a point, in the sense of when we did go forward, we looked at a little bit more dangerous and we had chances. I mean, that one where Bowen skipped past a couple of players and cut it back, and Wilson didn't quite read the run, and it just sort of was begging for someone to tap at home. Couldn't be. So there was chances for West Ham. They were sporadic, but they were there, and it was good. And thankfully, we could convert one of them. He was doing my head in, Fernandes, absolutely doing my head in. Brighton have a great stadium. It's a nice place. Feeling more positive about the game Sunday night. Yeah, I always like Brighton away. I'm looking forward to putting a little bit more encouragement. It does give us a lift. There's no doubt about that one. So yeah, we've got a little bit more confidence. I mean, one thing I was going to say, you know, when the clock was on 75 minutes, I was thinking I can't come on again and say we showed a bit more fight, it was a bit better. We need a bit more proof in the pudding, because teams are moving away from us, and we're still in the bottom three, but psychologically it feels a little bit better coming out the game tonight with a point, just 2 points off Leeds now, because we've got a tricky we've got a tricky run of fixtures to navigate now up until Christmas and beyond. I mean, no game is easy, but there's some tricky customers that we are coming up against. So keeping the points ticking over is the most crucial thing. So the wins against Newcastle and Burnley, the point against Bournemouth was good, an anomaly on Sunday. So again, if we can go and get a point next Sunday at Brighton, then it's just keeping it ticking over, and that's really positive for what we want to try and do. And in the end, Leeds aren't going to win every week, and there will be opportunities. And of course, we face them on the final day of the season. Push comes to shove. Let's hope it doesn't come down to that, but it may well do come the end of May. But yeah, I was quite satisfied tonight. I mean, they were there for the taking. We seized a point, and I think we should be happy with that one. Who was your man of the match? Magassa for me. I thought he was excellent. I thought it was really, really good. He brings energy. He puts his foot in. He moves the ball around well. He's a disruptor in midfield, and of course he was there, right place, right time, to get us that point and a brilliant goal. And in a brilliant time as well, much needed, and the passion as all the players were over to the away end. That meant a lot to everybody. When did you think? When do you think when Kilman? What do you think when Kilman was coming on? I saw Wilson off Kilman on. I was like, oh Lord, but I'm used to it now with Nuno. He loves to make these defensive substitutions, doesn't he? It's his sort of forte. So I wasn't entirely surprised, and it didn't really make too much difference. Zane says we're not even halfway through the season of relegation, battling teams showing insane levels already. They are. I mean, the league is just so unpredictable. You've got Leeds beating Chelsea, you've got 4-3s, 5-4s, Liverpool mid-table, so Man United. It's all up in the air at the moment. No one really knows what's going on. It's incredibly unprecedented. So trying to predict week on week, minute on minute is hard enough. So yeah, it's just got to try and take games as they come. Try and deal with couple of games at a time. Try and keep those points ticking over. And absolutely. Look, there we go. Thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm off to bed. So hopefully England can capitalise on a good platform we've set in the Ashes tomorrow morning, and all round a good sporting couple of days. West Ham getting a point, England doing well. What is not to love? We will have your Brighton preview for tomorrow night or Saturday night. I'm not entirely sure yet, so keep an eye out for that, where we will discuss this and our upcoming game at the Amex. So look out for that. I will be there, as I said, on Sunday. So vlog and match day content from the seaside will be available here on West Ham Official this Sunday. But until then, in summary, a good point on the road, and I think we haven't been beaten by Manchester. I think that's now. We haven't been beaten once in the last 6, I think, against Manchester United in the Premier League. So we are developing quite a good record against them, because they put the stat up before the game: 4 wins out of the last 5 for West Ham in the Premier League against United. So a draw here, 5 out of the last 6, undefeated. Take it, absolutely take it, because it's not historically been a brilliant stomping ground for West Ham. But we stuck, we stuck in there, we held in, we dug deep, we found our moment, and we got the point. And I think we would have all absolutely taken that before the game. So happy. I have got a smile on my face. So from me, come on your lines, and we will see you soon right here on West Ham Official. Thanks very much, and bye bye.